my microphone on, and I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Hello.
Jeff Stevens.
Here.
Mike Ziegenmeyer. Here. Bruce Johnson.
Here.
Bill Conley.
Here.
Todd Kimmelshoe.
Here.
Bo Shepherd.
Here.
Dave Shaw.
Here.
Gary Marler.
Here.
Mike Morris.
Here.
Chris Schmidl.
Here.
Okay, Bill Conley is going to lead us in the pledge, please.
Ready? Salute. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For the members of the public will be allowed to address the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency Board of Directors on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matters and jurisdiction of the board. Any member audience who may wish to bring a matter before the board that has not been placed on the agenda may do so at this time. However, state law provides that no action may be taken or any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Okay, so the first item up is for public hearing and approval of the final amended 2024-230 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the finalized version of this budget, as was said, covers the 24-25 actuals, last year's actuals through 29-30 projections. If you recall, on May 13th this year, we had presented a preliminary budget with some moderate modifications to that budget for the finalized version today. So conduct the public hearing, provide public comment, and discuss and consider approval of that final budget. Like I said, the budget covers 24 through 25 actuals, amends the current finalized version of the current approved budget that we have from last year, which covers 24-25 through 27-28, and we had added in a additional 2 years, 28-29 through 29-30. The budget is strongly supported by detailed cash flow projections, and we updated that, and it all comports with the strategic plan. Budgeted revenues mostly come from assessment district revenue, Prop 1E funding, and multiple grants that we have with the OWA project, and then existing available funds rolled over from last year. So amending the previous approved 24 through 28 budgets by refining costs and revenue projections, but updating with actuals from 24-25, and then actually really to actuals to date through April or May of the current fiscal year 25-26. So incorporating new programs though, and it adds an additional 2 years, the 28-29 and 29-30 in that scope. So we discussed a lot of this during the preliminary budget meeting back in May, but like some of the main highlights, though, comparing the previously approved budget from last year to the final amended with the additional 2 years, there was an increase of approximately $87.4 million in revenue, increase of about $83.5 million in expenditures, and then the debt service stayed constant with about $31.7 million. But it was updated with our refinancing efforts earlier this year. And those expenditures, though, you could see like you could see primarily that the largest amount of increase in expenditures is the additional 2 years of scope. It's really focused on Sutter Bypass East Levee work, both construction on the critical repairs and the addition of work on the 12-mile segment. And then additional work under OWA, you can see that 27 to 41 million. That increase primarily due to the Robinson's Riffle WCB grant that we had just received and are actively working on now. And we also had a decrease in our initial projections for Tudor flood risk reduction about $1 million or so due to actual finalization of contracts and actualities. Revenues, too, reflect those most of what we talked about with the expenditures. You can see here increase. We had initially projected bypass work on construction, given the scope of the dates only through 2028 from the initial budget. $52 million was added for what we anticipate receiving in revenue for that effort. So future projects, we had talked about, sediment removal, an additional $10 million for the second phase. We had completed the design phase just earlier this year. That going into the future, though, the bypass work, $52 million for the critical repairs, but $67 million total when you account for phase two. Design, the construction work on Tudor flood risk, and then the Robinson's Riffle construction underway for about $32 million. So recommendation is, open up for questions if there are any, but conduct a public hearing and receive public comments, and then recommend that the board approve the budget resolution adopting the final amended 24-30 budget.
I'll bring it back to the audience. Is there any public comment? Okay, would anybody from the board like to comment?
Hey, Jeff, can you officially open a public hearing?
Oh. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'll officially open up this budget hearing. Thank you. Now, any public comment? Any comment from the board?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? So move.
Thank you.
So the consent calendar groups together those items which are considered non-controversial or for which prior policy direction has been given to staff and that requires only a routine action by the board. The chair will advise the audience that the matters may be adopted in total or by one motion. However, the board may, at its option or upon request of a member of the public, consider any matter separately. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passed. Okay, so moving on, informational and possible approval items. Approval of the resolution 2026-4 for the levy of the collection of 2026-27 fiscal year assessment for the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency Assessment District in Sutter and Butte counties.
All right, thank you. Oh, is that on? Okay. Hi, board members, Seth Wurzel, Agency Budget Manager. So I'll present the assessment levy. So this is consistent with the budget that was just approved by the board. The request is, as the chair noted, is to adopt a resolution levying the assessments for 26-27. As a reminder, the assessments are levied at the same rates specified in the engineer's report. Because this is a capital assessment and debt service is fixed, there was no escalation incorporated to the assessments. So any increase in revenues that we receive is as a result of development and changes in land use, where land use gets intensified and more benefits are realized. So the preliminary levy for 26-27, this is an estimate. We're using the same as last year's estimate, about a little over $6.8 million. It's split between Butte and Sutter counties, about $500,000 in Butte County and $6.3 million in Sutter County. Ultimately, we'll be updating that final roll once the data from the counties becomes available, and we conform the rates that'll be approved with this resolution and the original resolution approving the assessment district to the actual set of parcels that are on the secured roll for 26-27. The budget that you adopted reflects a $6.5 million assessment. So we base our cash flow projections conservatively on those numbers, have for many years, and any revenues that are received over the budgets are collected and remain in fund balances for future projects. So it just helps defray the cost of any helps defray actual costs and let us get further through our program. So again, assessments are to be levied for 30 years from the final financing, which took place in 2015. So that's through fiscal year 2044-45. The last debt service payment in October of first on 2045. The assessments in the last couple of years of the term and the authorization will be lower since that 2013. The remaining outstanding term bonds that were not refinanced because it was uneconomical to do so will be paid off in 2042-43. So those last couple of years will go down. And then the very last year of assessments will be paid from, we actually have no reserve fund balance because it's all surety bonds now. But the debt service would go down in the last year after the 2013 debt is retired. So we have a pecking order that's consistent with the budget and the approach that the agency has for utilizing its revenues. The first revenues that come in from the assessment are for operations. So that's the $750,000 gets utilized in our Fund 730, our operating fund. And then the remaining revenues consistent with the indentures for the 2013 and the refunded bonds, the 2015 bonds. After operations, about $5.8 million goes toward the combined annual debt service, which based on our refinancing, there's some additional revenue there. And then the third goes to fund balance, as I mentioned, to fund projects on a pay-as-you-go basis, consistent with the assessment engineer's report. So again, the recommendation is to approve the resolution to levy the assessments for fiscal year 26-27.
Thank you, Seth. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any board comment?
I'd just like to, on behalf of all the Butte County folks here, I'd just like to thank all the Sutter County folks for paying the vast majority of those assessments. Thank you very much.
I don't know, maybe on a proportionate.
We so much appreciate you, Todd.
Next year.
We got to switch that around in the future? Okay. Since you're so grateful. Yeah.
Other than that, Mr. Chairman, I have no other comment.
Are you going to make a motion?
No. Okay, I move the assessment.
All right, we got a motion and a second.
Butte County guys. Huh?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Thank you, Seth. That was very good. Okay, receive and file monthly financial reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this report covers through end of March financials. Working capital ended at about $17.5 million, estimated about $20 million to date with pending revenues and so forth. Our operating revenue, $750,000 of our first installment that we received of assessment revenues back in January, February. $750,000 of that was allocated to our operating fund, with the remainder going to the capital fund. Capital revenue, though, about $7.6 million that we've received through the end of March, and about $10.5 million to date. That difference between the two is what we have pending, about $2.8 million. It's all through grant reimbursement revenue that we're anticipating. And you can see it broken down here on the right-hand side by various projects and their appropriate grants. Estimated expenditures to date. We've received about paid out about almost about $10 million actually through March 31st, but estimated to date, along with paid and pending to date. A vast majority of it has been going, payments have been going towards the OWA projects and the Tudor flood risk reduction construction. Debt service, we had paid debt service in April. Next payment due October 1st of this year, and about just a hair over $5 million due. So ongoing activities, processing reimbursements and the grant management. for various grants. And then the agency itself, though, updates sent to member agencies for development impact fees for this year. That was just sent out a few weeks ago. Ongoing coordination, this is kind of a big one, ongoing coordination with YC Finance for implementation of their new software. We used to have remote access to their, download general ledgers and stuff like that. But since they had transferred over to the new Tyler system, the idea is to reestablish that access so that we can access it remotely as well. It's really a big help. And then coordination with Badawi for the audit for 25-26, and that's starting to be underway. I just open up for questions. Please.
On projects like Robinson's Riddle, we're billing and then are we getting reimbursed in arrears, or do you have the funds prior?
Currently, we are with every grant, we submit quarterly a package of invoices that had been paid for services that were provided like that quarter. And we're typically reimbursed within a month or two after we submit that to the granting agency. However, with the Robinson's Riffle grant in particular, we are considering the idea of potentially getting an advancement payment, receiving that advancement, and then we'd have to separate that funding into a different fund. And then ultimately, the only way we could withdraw from that fund is justification that costs relate to that project. But we haven't done that yet. We did used to do that for the UFR grant way back when. We haven't done it yet for this Robinson's Riffle grant, although it probably, we just might. We just might, just to maintain cash flow.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be more equitable for us if we could do it like that. I just didn't know if there were things that precluded it from being done.
With that one, there really isn't. It's just putting in the work and then making a request, I think, for the most part. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one question. I noticed on the budget or in this financial report, there's no mention of the Sajafka credit purchase. When can we expect that first payment?
Yeah, no, that's, we did take that out just to be conservative because we don't know when we're going to realize those payments. We're expecting within a year or two that Sajafka will be able to start utilizing those credits for their program and then start reimbursing Sabufka for that. So I'm guessing 1 year, 2 years out.
All right, any other questions? Okay, do we need a motion on this?
No.
No, okay, thank you. All right, Michael, can the boss give us some comments now?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so thank you for your attention and for making those votes on our budget and on the assessment. So a lot of financials so far in this meeting, so appreciate all of that. So I'm going to wrap things up with actually talking about the projects that the budget supports. We're going to start out with the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project, our 1.6 mile levee repair down in the southern portion of our basin. Nordic is busy with season 2 construction. The majority, as I've reported in the past, the majority of the levee work had been completed last year. All the cutoff wall installation was completed in 2025. So this year, the contractor is installing the 2 pipes, the 36-inch at-grade pipe and the 20-inch up and over pipe. So that work is ongoing. They've degraded the levee in where the pipes are being located, and they are right now working on pouring some of the structures that are associated with those pipes, most notably the at-grade 36-inch pipe. So a lot of that work is happening right now. I reported in the past that we negotiated with California Department of Fish and Wildlife on 2 tree removals that we thought might be necessary to install these pipes because they were very close to the outfall structure and the levee or the embankment of that area. The outfall area is not very suitable for maintaining the integrity of those trees. But so far, so good. The contractors has been able to work around those existing trees, so we're able to keep those in place so far. But we do have the agreement, if we do have to remove them, that we will be able to, and then we'll have to mitigate for those trees. But right now, we're maintaining them in place. And so here we are in June, so it's looking like work is probably going to go forth throughout the summer and then wrap up into October, and then we'll finalize all the paperwork and close out the contract. On Sutter Bypass East Levee project, the 5.2 mile critical repairs, we're calling it. So we are at 100% design right now. We submitted those plans to our reviewers and our partners on the project, the Army Corps, the state, our independent panel of experts, and we're getting comments back on those 100% just to ensure that we've addressed all of their comments from the past. So we'll be wrapping up our design plans and getting our bid documents ready from when we can go out to bid. And that rolls into the next item on the FEMA brick application. So we're continuing to coordinate with Cal OES on our brick application. We're updating the previous application with all the current information to show that we'll be shovel ready for next year's construction season. We're submitting that information to Cal OES, and they will submit that to FEMA. And all the dialogue we've had so far with Cal OES and DWR, it's looking very favorable that we will be getting this funding, this grant to construct the project, but we don't know for sure yet. So we're staying optimistic, but all the language and dialogue so far has been very positive.
Michael, on that design, is the design this is very similar to what we did on the Feather River?
Yep, it's all cut off wall construction, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Same type of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there any timeline on that grant being approved?
No, we don't know yet. So once the application gets submitted to FEMA, we'll start some dialogue in DC. And I know what you're probably thinking with James Gallagher now taking over for LaMalfa's chair or seat. We're going to be actively coordinating with our new congressman in DC to see what sort of assistance he can have with FEMA. We're also on the same project, the Sutter Bypass, we're coordinating with DWR and Calpine on trying to fund the remainder 12 miles so that we can start designing and permitting those levee repairs so that we could advance that and be shovel ready and apply for FEMA funding or other opportunities in the future. So we're trying to convince the state to budget some money. And we incorporated that funding from the state, even though we don't have it yet, we incorporated it into our budget that Sean presented and the board just approved. On City of Orville, coordination there, we're coordinating with the city's consultant for a flood safety plan. So they're in the process of putting that together. We're also still trying to coordinate with the Army Corps to see if they could budget for some feasibility study money to help advance some, to try to evaluate the levee further and maybe get some geotechnical analysis work completed through federal funding. And then we're also working with the state to see if we can secure some state funding for the city. Lastly, on this slide, the federal project, which goes back to the SJAFCA credit. So we've wrapped up all the credit packages. The Army Corps has approved them. They are in the process of formally transferring credit from our program to the SJAFCA program. And then, like I said, once SJAFCA is able to utilize that credit within their federal program, we'll start getting payments out of SJAFCA.
Can I ask a question on that, Mike?
Sure.
SJAFCA, do they have financing for their program going forward, or are they in the process of getting reestablished like we are? Or
Yeah, no, they have financing. They approved, or they had an assessment district passed, I believe, last year. Seth's company helped facilitate that. You want to get up, Seth, and talk about that? That'd be helpful.
Yeah, they passed an assessment in '23 for their program. It was a large assessment district that generates money for both the county for maintenance of the channels and levee system in North and Central Stockton, as well as Sajafka's Lower San Joaquin River project. They've issued one series of bonds. They actually had that assessment district supplanted an existing smaller assessment district. They had a similar early implementation project where they advanced a small portion of the federally authorized project ahead of the Army Corps and then are getting credit for that. Very similar to our approach and very similar to Safeca's approach and very similar to West Sacramento's approach where they take state money, advance the program, and get credit for it. So, they're well underway. It's just the Corps is building a much larger portion of their project than the Corps built of our project, and so things are progressing slowly.
Okay, I was just wondering more about the grant, if they had, with the way the financing has been with FEMA and everything else, if they had applied and then got it pulled back and then was going through the same thing we were.
Their program is all under Army Corps Civil Works.
So it's all different.
It's all being constructed by, the balance of it is being constructed by the Army Corps. They don't have any FEMA funding, funding a portion of their authorized project.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so moving on to OWA Robinson's Riffle, the river restoration project. We're at 100% design in that project as well and coordinating closely with our partners, CDFW and DWR. We're hoping to be able to go out to bid later this year for construction next year. And you'll see I put in parentheses, if FERC not needed. So if FERC approval is not needed, we'll be in construction next year. Now, if it's determined that FERC has to weigh in and review and approve that project, it could take longer. So we're trying to work that out with DWR right now. They believe it shouldn't take a FERC approval for the project, but we're going to know that shortly, and I'll be able to report that out to the board. But the good news is...
I sent you a copy of the original agreement. It explicitly states in there projects within the boundaries don't have to come back to FERC if it's for the betterment of the community and enhances recreation. Yet DWR is insisting on going through that extra step. I wonder if there's a way we could lobby our assemblyman and our state senator and say, look, right here's the language. Why don't we, lean on DWR? I know they're doing out of abundance of caution. They're trying to be good people and all that, but we're all paying the price, right? What if we had that big wet winter and we don't have that place to surge that water out there, right? So
no, I know, Bill, and we pointed that out, like we've talked, and they are being very conservative and cautious as they are coordinating through FERC. But I think the group we're dealing with at DWR for this project.
don't get me wrong, they're good people. They're just not.
They're not. Yeah,
They're not reading the paper.
One thing I wanted to note on this project, because we did get this large, almost $32 million grant for construction, going back to Charlie, your question about, we typically get reimbursed for work. We pay our bills and then we show whoever our grantor is basically the paid bill, and then we get reimbursed. For this project, these are going to be large amounts of money in a short amount of time. It's supposed to be a 1-year construction season. We won't have the ability to cash flow that type of project. So we're going to look to get the money in advance, and then we'll true up and then we'll move it out so that we don't have to cash flow the entire project. Same thing with if we get the FEMA money for the 52-mile repair, we're going to look to get that upfront money and then do it that way as opposed to getting reimbursed. So it's all about cash flow, and these are very large projects that, our ability to cash flow those are going to be very limited moving forward. The other project on this slide, the Thermalito Afterbay Boat Ramp and Campground project, we're still waiting for FERC approval, unfortunately. We're coordinating closely with DWR. They've been making calls the past few days to DC, the FERC office, and I just texted my counterpart there to see if there was any updates. I haven't heard anything new, but as the board may be aware, the amendment to, or the agreement we have with R&R Horn to delay our contract award expires on Saturday, June 13th. So if we don't get FERC approval by then, we're going to have to figure out what the next steps are. So I'll be coordinating closely tomorrow with R&R Horn, laying out the alternatives and see where things go from here. But fingers crossed we get FERC approval and we can award that contract in the next couple of days. And then this is my last slide. So, great news. James Gallagher won the LaMalfa chair in Congress. So we're very excited about that. I think he's getting sworn in today if he hasn't already. I believe there's a ceremonial oath of office ceremony next week on June 16th in Marysville at 11 a.m. So the bottom line is we're going to be coordinating closely with our new congressman on our FEMA brick grant. We're also having ongoing meetings with DWR and the Mid and Upper Sac Region Planning Group on Sutter Bypass Master Plan, and that's really to convince DWR that the east levee of the Sutter Bypass needs to be repaired in place. That's what we're advancing with the 5-mile repair. That's what we want to advance with the remainder 12 miles. This is a way to solidify that decision-making process. And it's also to look at other opportunities within the bypass and how all the regional interests will be met there. So we're planning to have a workshop in August of 14th or the 21st, and we're looking at possibly doing it here in this chamber. Tara's coordinating with Yuba City staff now, but this would be a Central Valley Flood Protection Board workshop. So it would be an official board meeting, and it would be a public meeting, and most likely happening in the morning on one of those days. So I'll continue to report out to the board. And then also, lastly, we're going to cancel our July board meeting. We don't have any action items for July as of right now, and I don't foresee any that we can't wait until August to take to the board's attention. So we're going to go ahead and cancel the July board meeting. Tara will send out the official cancellation notice, and we'll reconvene in August on the 12th. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you and see if there's any questions.
Okay. One thing I'd like to ask, Mike, going back to that FERC and on this next Saturday, the contract running out, what are our options at that point?
So the options are if R&R Horn is amenable to extending the
One more
agreement
time?
to postpone the contract award a week or 2 weeks or whatever. We'll see what they're open to. The other option is to do an extension, but then pick up construction next year if they would be willing to, hold their prices in place for next year.
It's a very, very favorable contract, if I remember right, and we don't want to lose it.
Correct. Yeah. So the other option is R&R Horn says, no, we're not interested, and then we would have to reject all bids and then rebid the job.
And this is all because of FERC not responding.
And this is all because of FERC, yes. And unfortunately, we don't have the ability to even talk to FERC. It's all through DWR. They're the ones negotiating with FERC, so we have very limited ability to do anything.
And there is no opportunity in some manner to go around DWR?
No, we couldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Any other comments from the board?
So Mike, since we've been waiting, 2 or 3 months on this?
Longer?
Yeah, longer than that.
So most likely they're not going to do anything by Saturday.
I don't want to say that. They understand, but I believe they understand the urgency and the timelines, and I'm hoping they could make us whole and let us move forward, but I just don't know. It's so up in the air right now.
Some of the board has been talking about maybe we should just start construction. It's on them. No, that doesn't work. Motion? No.
I just told our attorney to cover his ears.
Your checkbook, I'm right behind you. There you go.
All right.
So we'll be making the final decision at the next board meeting on that, or?
Well, we'll have to make decisions in the next few days about which direction we're going to go in.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And can you send out,
Yeah, I've been given the authority to move that.
Mike, can you send out a notice of what happens on that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, any other comments? All right, we'll adjourn the meeting.